another episode of Late Night Parents. My name is Ted Hicks. I'm alone in the studio. This is a very special show. It's our hybrid episode, and it usually happens every year. What we usually do is take the best of the best interviews over the past year and kind of blend them together with a new guest. So best ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Go to the website. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Want to thank our distributors of the show in the United States and the UK. And we air weekly on WGBB 1240 AM, Long Island, New York, West Babylon, New York. As always, thank you to all of our affiliates that play us. Really appreciate you guys for all that you do. We usually shout someone out each and every week. And I would be remiss if I didn't include our good friends, You and I Are One Radio in upstate New York. I want to say what's up to Mr. Scott Price. So here's where we are. It's the summertime. It's extremely hot. Hope you've enjoyed. It's kind of like the post holiday festivities. And, you know, such is life. A couple things going on. As I mentioned before, we have 3 guests tonight. Sarah Wyman from Different Pigeon. She's the enterprise leader of the... Some people like to say urban wear. Some people like to say streetwear. Apparel shop. A distributor. She's going to be joining us to share her story. And also we have Susan Collins and NCAA women's coach Pam Borton is going to also join us. So those are our guests. It's very quiet in the studio. I'm just not used to it. It kind of feels like a podcast. Because when it's a podcast, it's usually myself, and without Richie V and Dr. Michele, who are usually in the cheers next to me, and we're bantering, going back and forth and everything else like that. But I want to tell you, received, well, I'll save that story for when Sarah joins us. As we wait for her call, and hopefully she calls, because she was supposed to call last week, and guess what? I gave her the wrong number. How do you like that? Just doing too much. When you are the producer, host, content creator, writer, editor, do I have any other titles? I can't say engineer, because that's Brian. He's the engineer for the live show. I gave her the wrong number, and unfortunately, she was calling a number, and it was, I don't know, it was like a masseuse parlor or something like that. So, but I will say this much. I signed my son up for football. And before I start getting killed on social media, I did it. I signed him up for Pee Wee football. It's a 10-year-old, freshly minted 10-year-old, because it gave him the option. He was doing basketball, and he also does swimming. He kind of laid off on the basketball, and I asked him, what do you want to do? And he said he wanted to do football. Begrudgingly, with all that I know, and with little that I know, I agreed to it. So along with this, I got to meet the coach, and who's teaching all the youth about the fundamental of youth football. So hopefully, plan to have Coach Hunt in a few weeks on the show as their special guest to talk about his endeavors and talk about what he's doing in regards to youth football, bringing together the neighborhoods, and educating our youth overall on safety and awareness and, building that camaraderie as most coaches do. So we had that, and football is Monday through Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be very interesting. Swimming is Mondays and Wednesdays, 5 to 6. So talk about a fun-filled day after attending camp. What else did I want to mention? I was speaking last week with Rich Valdez about the kitchen project. So my kitchen project is over. After 15 years, decided, really, my wife browbeat me into getting a new kitchen. So all of that said and done, the project is done. However, is it ever really done? I received a call from the contractor, the primary contractor, about a bill still needing to be paid. So I said, this is strange, because I went through, a provider. So like whenever you deal with Home Depot or Lowe's or whomever, they sublet the job out. So you're dealing with kind of like a reseller or like a VAR subcontractor. So with all the work that was done, the subcontractor felt that they were shorted $2,400. And I was, for the most part, I said, okay, I'm sorry that you feel that way. And if you feel like you were shorted, send a change order with whatever work that you provided that you were shorted on. And what I was going to do was bring it to the project manager at Home Depot, where I purchased these related services and materials from. So we went back and forth. So I went there on Saturday. Presented the change order, went to the exact project manager, my wife and I. This is early in the morning. We went there and said, okay, here's the situation. And I presented the change order. I said, here's a project that was, roughly about $20,000 to $22,000. Appreciate the work. The work was done. I mean, the professionalism was great, but for some reason, there seems to be a discrepancy. I handed the change order over. The project manager looked at it, called the contractor, and proceeded to rip up the change order, and then handed the phone to me, where the contractor apologized. I'm not sure what in the world that was, but very apologetic, no harm, no foul, and it just goes to show in a situation like that, when it actually happened, I said to myself, there's no way in the world that I'm going to sit here and hand, like a reseller or someone else like that, $2,400 in cash, because that was the amount that was considered, that they considered they were shorted on. So it just goes to show you, in adversity, in times of drama, the cooler head will prevail most of the time. You got to sit back. You can't be a hothead, and you basically present your case. Because there was no way I was walking into the store yesterday and going to make a payment of $2,400 unless I was shown that there was a miscalculation. And at that point, if that was the case, I would have then went to Home Depot and been like, you know what? You guys screwed up on this, not me. I'm the consumer. Other than that, looks like our first guest won't be joining us. So I'm not sure what to say about that. But I will tell you this much. I do want to give a plug to Different Pigeon. DFRNT Pigeon. For Father's Day, They sent me a handmade T-shirt, and it was made by homeless youth. It's a social enterprise that's based in Portland, Oregon, that provides at-youth risks with professional design mentorship and fair wages around leveraging their creativity into their streetwear line. So I want to let you know, I do appreciate you guys, and I want to thank you. And I wanted to thank the enterprise leader tonight for the T-shirt. I wound up giving it, like, my son saw it, and I wound up giving it to him. So I'm not sure if we're going to try to reschedule these guys, because I know there's a time zone difference, and I know last show was due to me, but, you know, all the above. I want to thank you guys. Outside of that, I'm thinking, what else is hot? What's going on? I mean, up here in New York, there's Long Island Railroad, which is a total disaster. The track work project begins tomorrow. I will be providing commentary on our next show on week 1 of just chaos at Penn Station. Because if you're coming in from New York, New Jersey, you name it, all roads lead to Penn Station, and there's been all types of chaos for the past 6 months. Disruptions usually happen from time to time. Now it's part of the norm. And, you know, it's time for the consumers, the commuters to fight back. And it's time for the commuters and the consumers to be heard. And we are not happy. So, I mean, that remains to be seen. It's going to be, we're told, up to a 3-week project. Not so sure about that. That's, you know, the date, because I'm sure it's going to run over. It's going to, from 3 weeks to 4 weeks to 5 weeks. So, honorable mention to Angela Hathaway. Hathaway, want to thank you for reaching out to Late Night Parents from Remark Media Relations out in the West Coast. Want to thank you guys. And with that, I think we're going to get into, I think we have 2 interviews lined up from our show from the past that's happened. But this is the first time airing in this format. It's going to be Pam Borton and Miss Susan Collins. And they were our very special invited guests on the show in the past. So with that, we're going to hand it over to our extraordinaire producer, Brian. And folks, thanks again.
Be mindful of everyone's time. I know Susan is in the queue. Ms. Collins is in the queue, so I'm going to bring her on right now. But I want to start off by saying Susan Ford Collins is a sought-after speaker, trainer, and the founder of Technology of Success. She began her career as a young researcher at the National Institutes of Health with the radical idea to focus on research on healthy, highly successful people rather than dysfunctional ones. I want to thank our featured guest of the night, Susan Ford Collins. Susan, how you doing?
Oh, I'm just fine, and I'm happy that it's Susan. It's definitely a first-name call here.
Oh, yes, definitely. It's Susan and Ted. That's exactly how it is. So, Susan, I was so grateful this morning. I noticed in the items that recently came in, I received the Technology of Success Series Book 1.
Yes,
and
yes. The Joy of Success.
Yes.
Well, we spend so many hours and so much effort getting the long hours and hard work of success. And I decided, since I didn't want that to be the title, that I would write a book called The Joy of Success and take a look at the upside of all of this that we do. And, here to think tonight about how we can fall in love with the job we've got instead of always wanting to be doing something different. It really shifts your life, and it really brings things back into perspective.
Susan, that's excellent. I have so many questions. I'm not sure where to start, but it's really helpful knowing that you focus on highly successful people and highly successful skills rather than looking at the negative, dysfunctional skill set that's out there. So,
well, and at NIH I was laughed at. It's one of those moments that changes your life. I stood up and I suggested, let's study highly successful people, and the whole room of 250 people laughed at me. And, of course, I was the most junior member there at NIH. So I had to have a head of steam going inside of me that was pretty strong to be able to come back from that one. So, that was many, many years ago, and the last laugh was that I gave a talk in Washington, D.C. at the National Grant Management Association, and a whole group of people came afterwards. I had told the story about NIH being laughed at, and they said they were the people who decided on grants at NIH, and they only wished they had been there because they would have shouted, "Yes, Susan, it's a great idea." So, if you work long and hard, it all comes around to you. But what I find is that most people spend their time thinking about what they didn't do when they fall asleep at night. I didn't do that. Oh, I didn't do the meeting.
Yes.
I forgot to make this call. And so they create a mindset of, I'm failing. And one of the things that I noticed with highly successful people as I shadowed them for literally 20 years. I went in the car with them. I sat in meetings with them. I got to ask them questions. And I saw that they would take 10 or 15 minutes every day to just sit quietly in their office. And I'm sitting on the other side, and I'm going, what are they doing? So one day I said, what are you thinking? What's going on in your head? And he told me, I'm thinking about my day, and I'm looking at all the successes I had today. And I said, well, what is success? And he says, it's the little things. He said, most people are looking for the gigantic things, kind of the program we're taught when we go to school and you graduate every 4 years. But he says it's the little things that make the difference. And he gave me an example of the guy who was on the way to make a huge presentation, but he had forgotten to stop and get gas. And so we missed the whole deal, and somebody else got the contract. So, it's the little things, the eating your breakfast, it's having good relationships at home, it's exercising, it's all the little phone calls and the emails, and it's all the tiny things we do each day that accumulate into the big ones. And that was a really different perspective.
Susan, can you? I want to ask you this question. How do we create followers and successors, and tell us about learning how to effectively share success skills?
Well, one way is get the book and turn people onto it. But, being example is the most powerful way that you can share success skills. So I would say learn to do it yourself. And, one of the things that I would suggest if you want to kind of fall in love with your life and your job again is teach your spouse to success file with you and make that be something you do together at the end of the evening. It really will change your life. So I find that couples really don't know what each other is doing during the day. They really don't have a sense of the little details. And very often when they ask each other, they go, I don't want to talk about that. But we do need to talk about it. We need to acknowledge it. We need to celebrate it. Otherwise, we're going to be unhappy, and we're going to always be looking for something different than what we've got. And not only is that bad for us, but it's terrible for our kids. Because I studied, this was funny too, 1,250 middle school students and their teachers and parents. And I asked the kids how many of them wanted to be successful. And this was in a big auditorium assembly. And only a few hands went up. I was shocked. Maybe a quarter of the kids wanted to be successful, and the parents all gasped. And I said, well, why don't you want to be successful? And the kids told me, because if you're successful, you never have time for fun. You're always late. Your boss is always calling and asking for more. So they had concluded, they had concluded that they did not want to be successful. How's that?
Wow.
I know, wow.
That's an eye-opener right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell myself a little bit. So I've been in information technology. It's nearing 20 years.
Yeah.
I've been in this field, and I can tell you where I've been on vacation and the phone is ringing and it's the office, and I can tell you when I'm eating at night with the family, when I get home, on the night that I do get home, that where I'm able to partake in that, my wife always asks me, so tell me, Ted, what happened today? And I'm like, I don't want to talk.
Exactly.
I don't want
to talk about it. But you got it, Ted. Next time she asks you, talk about it. And don't bitch about it. This is what most people do. Actually celebrate it. Tell her what you're learning. Tell her what you were accomplishing. Tell her something nice that somebody said or an email you got that acknowledged you. Tell her the good stuff so that she'll feel good about you. And then when you're not there, or you're late, or you're, involved in something, she'll feel like she's supporting somebody who's making a difference. And that's really important. So, yeah.
Oh, no. Tell me about the three. Success has three essential parts.
Oh, this is so important.
Could you share that with us?
I certainly will. If you look up success in the dictionary, in Webster's Merriam Dictionary, it talks about success as accomplishments, achieving things, reaching goals, making money, earning prizes, and all of that. But even you know who Julianne Hough is, right? The
yes.
Dancer, the fantastic dancer. Well, she's won all kinds of awards. Emmy's been a judge on Dancing with the Stars, and she's done all these things. And she said, "But I don't feel good about my life. I don't feel successful." And so she and Strayer University are actually petitioning Webster's Dictionary to change the definition, but they don't have a new one. And this is what I've been studying my whole life. So here's the answer. Success has three essential parts. Yes, success is completion. It's being able to accomplish the things you write down on your list and you tell people you'll do. But, this is important, success is also deletion. It's knowing when enough is enough, when you've tried a method and it just isn't working, when you're in a relationship and it's time to let go of it, when you're pushing yourself too hard and too long, and the wise thing to do is to delete it. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yes,
totally.
To a driven man, that may sound like quite a prescription. But there's a third part.
Okay.
There's a third part, too, and then we'll go back to deletion because I can see you connected with that one.
Yes.
Success is also creation. It's discovering, it's breaking through. It's that moment when you go, aha, ooh, I just realized, or especially, my husband's in the tech world, too. The moment where you go, oh, I realize, new program, new piece of information. There's a breakthrough moment. And really, all the completions we have and all the deletions we make are to add up to that moment of discovery, of creation. And you know who's really good at this is your kids. They'll blow you away. They'll blow you away with what they think of, that we haven't thought of. So thank heavens they're going to be running the future, because we've kind of gotten stuck in the day-to-day grind, and what I'm prescribing is the way out.
Totally.
Deletion?
Susan?
Deletion.
Totally. Deletion. Totally.
Remember that. And your kids, explain that to your kids so they can go, oh, Dad, so good. Are you really going to come to my game today? You're going to delete something else? Because I had a CEO actually on the phone in the office where I was sitting, and I heard his son screaming at him. And afterwards he said, I apologize, but you need to know why. He said, because it's his championship ball game today, and I promised I'd be there, but we've got a product launch that I had forgotten about. And so my son was saying, I hate you, Dad. You never keep your word with me, and you always make everything else more important. So, delete some stuff so your kid starts to believe in you again and wants to be successful.
Totally. Like I said, the best thing about this podcast is it's therapeutic for me because I get to speak to smart people like yourself, and I kind of get to change things on the fly a little bit because from time to time, I think it was Monday. No, it wasn't. Yeah, I think it was either Monday or Tuesday. And my wife said, you sit on your podcast and you talk with all these great people. When do you start to take some of that stuff in? And I said, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Deletion. Okay, wife, listen up. Deletion.
Oh,
okay, I want to give a bottom line here.
Okay.
Here's the truth of it all. When your success file, and that's your list of all the successes you've had in your life, and I suggest everybody start doing that regularly. But when your success file is low, you feel disappointed and discouraged with your life and with yourself, and you lose faith in yourself. But when your success file is full, you feel successful. Notice that? Somebody was so smart, I don't know when, but hundreds of years ago, that they created this word called successful. And so when your success file is full, you feel successful and enthusiastic about where you are and what you're doing now, and your kids will love you for it.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, I just want to let our listeners know that we're speaking with Susan Ford Collins, the founder of Technology of Success. Susan, I know our time is running tight with you, and we're so appreciative of you spending the time with us. Tell us about the Technology of Success series. Give us some of the titles that are currently available for people to purchase.
Okay. And the number one is The Joy of Success, 10 Essential Skills for Getting the Success You Want. We're good at getting what everybody else wants, but this is about getting what you want in your life. The second one is Success Has Gears, and that is really important because CEOs said to me, you talked about gears and the joy of success, but give us some case studies. So this is 20 case studies of when the various gears of success and leadership are needed. And anybody who's driven any kind of an interesting car with a manual shift knows if you're in the wrong gear at the wrong time, your life jerks and stalls. So the third book is called Our Children Are Watching, and they are. And that's 10 essential skills for leading the next generation to success. And I do coaching all the time. I coach in corporations. Yes, CNN called me America's premier success and leadership coach, and I coached the team at CNN. And I constantly, all day, I'm on the phone with people all over the world doing appointments for one-on-one coaching and speaking engagements in corporations. So that's what the Technology of Success is. It's telling you what highly successful people do that makes them have lives that work better than other people's.
Susan, I'm going to ask for a freebie for our listeners. The freebie is, how do we avoid the crisis of our time?
Take time to celebrate yourself. How's that?
Susan, that is great. That is great.
Oh, you're
Susan,
fun. I like this. Deletion.
And you're saying deletion to a person that understands and totally gets it because, as I've mentioned to you before, it's, I guess, my kids are at the age where it's basketball practice, it's volleyball.
Yeah. It's one thing after another. But, you're a computer guy. So keep in mind, when you want to delete a word, let's say in a word program, you've got to highlight it and you've got to wipe it out, and then you've got to insert something else instead.
Yeah.
And this is what we have to start doing in life: is we delete something, we've got to insert something we want there instead, a better habit, a new skill, something that'll make us joyful instead of disappointed.
Oh, my goodness. I tell you, I am going to call our good friend Smith Publicity tomorrow, our good friend Christy, because she really delivered. She really delivered the goods.
So, just come up with some other questions, and we'll do it again another time.
Oh, definitely. This is the first time you're coming on, but this definitely won't be the last time. Want to give you a round of applause, Susan?
Thank you. That sounds like the picture on my website, www.technologyofsuccess, because you'll see an audience kind of cheering. So thank you for giving me that soundtrack to go along with it.
Oh, you're so welcome. So hey, just could you plug your Facebook page and or your Twitter page?
Oh yeah, everything is Susan Ford Collins. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Susan Ford Collins.
Great.
That's how you find me, by my name.
You got it. Susan, thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, I definitely want to have you coming back. We loved you. And if there's anything we could do in the future to work with you, lining up wonderful guests for us. But our next guest is Miss Pam Borton. And she has, I like to say, with over 25 years of coaching Division I basketball, including 12 years in the Big Ten, and Ms. Pam Borton has led her teams to a Final Four, 3 Sweet 16s, and numerous NCAA tournament appearances. She's received the Top 10 Global Women of Leadership Connector Award, the Real Power 50 Award, the Anne Bancroft Dream Makers Award, and the National Coach of the Year Award by the New England Basketball Hall of Fame, and was recognized as a 2-time Naismith National Coach of the Year nominee and honored with the creation of the Pam Borton Endowment at the University of Minnesota and the College of Education and Human Development. I had to take a deep breath. Pam, we're so happy to have you on tonight.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, please. That's the least. I mean, it's so happy to have you here. I was running out of breath because I was running through some of your accolades. But also, one of the reasons you're here tonight is within the next 60 days, your new book, On Point, A Coach's Plan for Life, Leadership, and Performing with Grace Under Fire, due out in May, is coming out. There's so much to get into. I just want to, if you can just briefly introduce yourself to our listeners.
Well, like I said, it's great to be here. I've been in the world of college athletics for 27 years and transitioned out a couple of years ago. And now I have my own practice where I'm a senior executive coach, consultant, and keynote speaker. And from all of my years in coaching major college athletics and now coaching CEO-level leaders and teams in the business world, I've have incorporated that into my business and then just really basically sharing my stories and lessons learned from big-time college athletics into business in this book.
Wonderful. I just want to get into a couple of quick questions. One of my questions is, and it's a question that we go through every day in our professional lives, and it's how to get the best out of your team and the people around you. Because I can tell you, Pam, I'm a team leader, and I have a great group. Is everyone a strong performer? No, but I would say 75% of them are. What do I do for the remaining 25%? How do I get the best out of them?
Well, I think number one is you have to find out what their strengths are. And I've always been a coach where I have focused on the strengths of my players, and now I focus on the strengths of my clients. And that is finding what is good in each and every one of your team members and the people on your staff, and making sure that you have them in the right seats. And so I think number one is making sure that you have hired the right people, you find their strengths, and making sure that they are in the right roles on your team. And then I think the biggest thing that a lot of people and team leaders forget is everybody is motivated differently. Find out what motivates each member of your team, and you've got to coach them and manage them and lead them all in different ways.
Pam, tell me, I mean, because you have, so much, your background is so heavy that tell us about how coaching elite athletes compared to coaching CEOs, COOs, CFOs.
Well, they're both obviously very. A lot of athletes and CEOs are Type A. They're very driven. They're very competitive. They face a lot of pressure, and they're very highly driven. They're expected to win, and the profit, the bottom line, outcomes and results are very important. So you have people that are very high-level competitors, thinkers, and just the things that athletes that need to do to perform well, which is being part of a team and being able to perform at a very high level on a consistent basis. That's exactly what business leaders do. They've got to get their teams to perform at a very high level under scrutiny, pressure, stress, and they have to have successful outcomes. And I think there's a lot of people that are expecting CEOs and business leaders to be successful and so forth, and people expect the high-level athletes to be the same way.
Pam, I have to tell you a little something else about myself that I'm sharing. So I've been in information technology, and next year makes year number 20. And I'm going to tell you, between time, stress, and project management, those are the triple constraints that I have to deal with on a daily basis, regardless of the situation, whether it's dealing with a technical problem or if it's soft skills or in any forms of communication. And I tell you, so it's like when I say, how can leaders today manage that stress, pressure, and expectations that they experience on a daily basis? What would you suggest for, like, myself, someone who's, I'd like to say I'm seasoned, but I don't know. I don't always feel that way on every day.
Well, I think the most important thing that we do as leaders, and you're in charge of a lot of different things, is the most important thing that we do as people, and we get to a certain point in our careers and we realize it's not about us. And it's not about you that's doing all those things. We have to surround ourselves with great people. And it's the people that we have around us. That's what becomes so important when we're able to be secure in ourselves as leaders, believe in ourselves as leaders, and when we can learn to hire people that are better than we are in certain areas. That's how you become extremely successful. It's who you surround yourself with. So you had mentioned that you're focused, or you're in charge of like 3 different big areas, and it's so important for you to have key people and very talented people in each one of those areas, because you can't do it all.
So, excellent. Pam, tell us about this is an area, this is an environment of change. Things are changing all the time. Let's just say, let's look at a certain component of technology. Technology changes at the snap of a finger. But for some of our leaders, what are must-have skills in the environment of change management?
Well, there's a lot of different things for change management, but again, you've got to be able to come in as a leader, and if you're taking over a new company or you're presenting a project, you said you're on project management, you have to come in with an inspiring vision and be able to sell what your project is. And this is what this project is going to do. Or you come in and say, this is my vision for this company as a new leader. Is you have to come in and you have to be able to have a shared vision and sell your vision to your team. And then in change management, it's about listening, listening to your people, evaluating what you have, listening to ideas, and then getting buy-in from your team. You've got to be able to get buy-in from your team. You're not going to be able to pull people across the finish line or push people across the finish line because, this is what we're going to do. You've got to get people to buy into your vision, buy into their roles, and get everybody on the same page heading in the same direction, just like you do major college athletic teams. That's how you win at a very high level. That's how you get a team to the Final Four. That's how you get a team to buy into project management is being able to get everybody to buy in.
Pam, as you've made me feel so comfortable, I'm going to share that not only I deal with IT and I'm a team leader and I deal with time, project, and stress management, but I'm also a dad. And my 14-year-old daughter is playing junior high school basketball, so it's a combination of PAL, CYO, and now she's starting to get involved in the AAU basketball, organized sports. And I've watched her progress over the last 4 or 5 years. Her game has advanced. Her understanding of the game has advanced. But what can parents do to support and encourage their children that are competing in sports in this day and age?
Well, you said two key words in your question, and that is support your kids and encourage your kids. And I think that has been lost. There's a lot of parents that are really dependent on that, getting that scholarship, or the social media has really affected kids nowadays because they're reading all this stuff about each other and the cyberbullying. Parents can be supportive in the stands. You see a lot of times that parents are fighting with each other in the stands because of their kid's better than somebody else's kid and the playing time and so forth. And I think don't take the love of the game away from your kids, and encourage them and support them to do the best they can, and not get all caught up in the parent drama or the player drama or whatever's going on. But I think the support and encouragement, period, that's the parent's role in the whole process.
And I just want to let everyone know we're talking with Pam Borton, seasoned Division I women's basketball coach, leadership executive, leadership and coaching executive. Pam, it's Women's History Month. I have to ask you one question: is what are the critical skills women must have in order to take their skills to the next level?
Well, a big part of that, and what I'm hearing a lot in corporate America, is their executive presence. Women having the confidence and the courage, to take that next step, to take that promotion, to go from a senior vice president to the CEO. Is having that executive presence when they're able to walk into a room without saying a word and having a presence and learning how to work a room like a pro. Also having great communication skills and being relevant in their industry, being up to date on the new and improved or what has changed in technology. They've got to be able to talk the industry and speak very intelligently. And the other thing is their appearance. And you've got to dress the part. You've got to dress the part in business, and if you want to take that next step up the ladder, that's what people are looking for. That's the rough edges that you try to work out when you take that next step to the top.
Pam, with so many years of coaching, tell me, what are some of the just key lessons of leadership that you've learned as a Division I coach?
Oh, we could be on the phone for an hour. I've learned so many lessons. I think there's so many. I think just from coaching, I think there's a lot of things that stand out into my mind. I learned as much from my players as I did from from them. I learned to listen to them. I learned to their ideas and what their concerns were. And I think we all can do a better job at listening to people and listening to feedback and listening to ideas. I think as a leader as well, and I'll say this till I'm blue in the face, it's about the people you surround yourself with in this day and age. I don't care what industry you're in. You've got to surround yourself with good people, people that care as much as you do, people that are going to work as hard as you do, people that want to be there, part of your organization, and also a leader that has a lot of empathy and compassion for their people. And that's a great way to retain people, is the compassion and the empathy that you have for your people as well. But I think just taking responsibility, and there's a lot of times leaders are in very high positions and they feel like they're putting fires out all day, is just having grace under fire. There's so many times that we can find ourselves in adversity, and taking the blame and so forth. Is always take the high road as a leader. Take the blame, take responsibility, and that's why you're in that position.
Most of these questions that I've asked you tonight are all, all these different nuggets are available and on point. A coach's game plan for life, leadership, and performing with grace under fire. I can't wait to read your book. I do have a couple of questions on. There's an event coming up in, I believe, in the next 2 weeks. Women on Point, the Executive Leadership Summit. Could you share that with us? Share some information.
I sure can. It's an executive leadership summit for women. So it's women that are in leadership positions or women that have teams in their organization. And we do leadership assessments. We do leadership sessions on relevant topics like executive presence, how to build high-performing teams, purpose and passion, how to strengths-based leadership, a lot of high-level topics. We do some team-building activities, but we limit it to about 30 women. It's a very intimate, safe environment for women to connect, women to engage, women to share, women to talk about their challenges. But me and my business partner started this about a year ago. So we are connecting women from all over the country across industries, and we have 3 executive coaches, one from corporate America, myself from college athletics, and now coaching in corporate America, and another executive coach that's been doing this for about 20 years. So it's a great women's leadership summit for executive level leaders, and it's in Chicago on March 23rd to the 25th.
What are your plans, Pam? I know this is going to be a success. We here at Late Night Parents will definitely promote this and put it out there on social media. What are the plans for, let's just say, the women that can't make it to Chicago? Are there any plans for it to branch out?
We are. That's a great question. October 12th to the 14th, we will be holding another Women on Point Leadership Summit in Vail, Colorado. So we're moving this around the country. We started in Minneapolis, now we're in Chicago, and we're moving in the fall to Vail, Colorado. So women love to travel with their girlfriends, but also do professional development, and maybe go to the spa for a couple hours, but it's all encompassing in professional development, connecting, and then just being able to take women to that next level as leaders.
Pam, one of my next to last questions that I'm going to have for you is, what kind of legacy do you see yourself leaving young women, and what might you tell your younger self?
Well, the legacy and the mark that I will leave, with my coaching background and now coaching in corporate America is developing people and helping successful people go to the next level. I've always impacted people's lives. I've always developed people into leaders, and so it's developing people to their fullest potential and also teams to their fullest potential now in corporate America. What I would tell my younger self is a lot of things. So I think one thing is to listen and learn. I think when we're all younger, we think we know it all and we have all the answers, and I can do it better. And when I get my chance, to sit in that chair or be a head coach or be a CEO, I can do it better. I think is to listen and learn from experience as well, but also to stay true to myself. I think a lot of people try to be somebody that they're not, or be true to yourself and to your values, and with integrity, with honesty, with teamwork, and with respect. Those are two little nuggets that really kind of stand out in what I would tell my younger self.
Excellent. Yes, you have just written a wonderful book. My next two last question is, could you tell us what book or books are you currently reading right now?
One of the books that I'm reading right now is called Finding the Space to Lead. And I couldn't even tell you, it's not right in front of me who has written it, but Finding the Space to Lead, it's about leaders finding the space to be able to think strategically. I think we all get in our worlds and we're so busy, we're going 100 miles an hour, and we're doing 16 things at once. And learning as leaders is to find that space to stop and pause and reflect and slow ourselves down so we can be mindful leaders. That's the book I'm reading, is Finding the Space to Lead. And then that's the one that I'm only reading right now because I had to finish writing my own book.
Gotcha.
There's only so many hours in the day.
That is so true. Well, I do have a final question, but before I even ask you the final question, I want to give you a round of applause. And I want to say to you, what are the best ways to get in contact with you in regards to the summit, in regards to your book, in regards to your brand on social media?
Well, in social media, you could go to my LinkedIn page under my name, Pam Borton. I'm also, my website is probably the best place to go find all of my information, and that's PamBortonPartners.com. And you can also connect directly with me. Actually, the Women on Point website is WomenOnPointLeadership.com.
Perfect.
To get more information.
Pam,
you can email me directly as well.
Oh, perfect. Pam, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out tonight. I want to thank Ms. Christy Hughes, who was able to patch the two of us together virtually. If there's anything we can do in the future with working together, but when I do read your book, I want to actually have you come back so I can ask you even more questions about the book and just your leadership styles, and also find out about the summit, how things went.
That'd be great. Well, thank you for having me tonight, and you asked me great questions. I thought you were extremely prepared, and you sounded like you already read the book, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks so much, and look forward to having you come back in the next, I'm going to say in the next month to 2 months. I want to have you come back, because when I really dig down into the book, I'm really going to have some great questions for you. But Pam...